Thank you, everyone. I met a distinguished guest of our community the other day, and she said, "Welcome to Austin, and you're a boy man." Yes, I am a boy man. I know. I have had the same thought. They trusted a man. And you don't really know me yet. I am new to Austin, and you should be a bit suspicious. But here's what I want you to know. I stand on the shoulders of the four mothers and brave survivors who built this movement when it was unpopular and unfounded. Women like Frankie Fowler, who has volunteered with the Safe Alliance for 45 years and for whom our hotline is named. Mrs. Fowler, please stand up. I stand on the shoulders of past leaders and board members who protected our movement and are here with us tonight. And I stand on the shoulders of partners across this community, from advocates and elected leaders to law enforcement and judges, funders and frontline teams, artists and songwriters and venture capitalists, all of whom are here today and who have held the line when it would have been easier to look away. Austin, this institution was not built by one leader. It was built by a community. And tonight, we celebrate what you have created. One of the most comprehensive and respected organizations in the country, setting the standard of care and service for survivors of violence. An organization whose model has been studied, replicated, and looked at nationally and internationally as a standard of practice. You built this, and I want to tell you why this is so personal for me. I grew up in Peru among the apagones of the 80s and 90s. Loosely translated, apagones means blackouts, but the word embodies a different undertone. Apagones is the silence after the television cuts. It's a sudden darkness that makes your heart beat faster. It's your mother whispering, "Bring the candles." It's your father inventing an imaginary friend so that you won't be afraid. It's dogs barking outside, it's footsteps on the roof, it's not knowing whether the darkness will pass quietly or violently. I grew up during a time when terrorists detonated car bombs in neighborhoods like mine, and the government responded with brutality of its own. There were apagones from failing infrastructure, and there were apagones from fear. When the lights went out, our protocol was simple. Gather the family, light the candles, and stay together. The family must always stay together. That was our theology. That was our survival strategy. But sometimes staying together is not enough. Sometimes the only way to protect a family is to leave. And so years later, my family fled toward what we hope would be a steadier light. We landed in Dallas, Texas, in December 18th, 1998, undocumented, uncertain, but hopeful. And in this new country, when the lights flickered, something was different. The darkness did not mean terror, because we had found another kind of light. Love. A faith community that brought us mattresses, gave us rides, shared food, prayed with us, recognized us, saw us. After years of lighting candles in fear, we found ourselves surrounded by people who became the candles. That is the America that I fell in love with. Not an abstract idea or a flag, but neighbors who show up, communities that protect one another, a country that at its best recognizes the dignity of every person. And I'll be honest, there have been moments in recent years when I wondered whether we were drifting from that light. when division felt louder than compassion, when fear felt easier than courage. And then I came to Austin, and I saw a community that still believes in showing up, still believes in protecting the vulnerable, still believes that love is not a weakness. And in just over a month, I have felt something here that takes years to build a deep and unexpected sense of belonging. When my family once found in a small circle of candlelight, Austin has built into infrastructure. Austin, you have restored in me faith, the faith in our most deeply held American values. So when I say, that faith is light, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Leading this institution is a privilege and a calling. Tonight we celebrate that 6,000 people each year can rely on SAFE for shelter and housing when they have nowhere else to go. We celebrate that when sexual violence occurs in this city, survivors do not have to sit in a chaotic emergency room, that every forensic examination can take place in a space built with dignity, care, and love. We celebrate that children who have witnessed violence receive counseling instead of silence, that families fleeing harm find safety instead of blame. And we celebrate that when someone reaches out in crisis more than 26,000 times a year, there is someone like Frankie ready to answer. A woman recently told me from the community about her experience after coming to SAFE following an assault. She said, "It felt as though an angel had been sent by God to sit beside me in my darkest moment." That is what we celebrate. Not the scale of violence, but the light that meets it. And we should feel proud of that. But that pride alone is not enough. Pride must be paired with responsibility, because the services that we are celebrating tonight are essential. And yet, across this country, the way we fund violence prevention and survivor support is often fragmented and fragile. It depends on contracts that do not cover the full cost, on grants that expire, on philanthropy that fills the gaps, on galas like this one. And tonight's generosity matters because it helps us close gaps that should not exist. The SAFE Alliance already subsidizes critical services that our broader system relies on. And here is what I've learned in a life that began in apagones. Darkness always collects its debts. If we do not invest in early intervention, we pay in emergency rooms. And if we do not fund prevention, we pay in courts. If we do not fund housing stabilization, we pay in jails. And if we do not sustain survivor services, survivors pay, children pay. And I believe this is personal for more of us than we admit. Domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, these are realities that we carry quietly. And when harm lives in silence, it feels episodic. Something that we respond to after it happens. So our posture becomes reactive. And it becomes easy to say that we are against abuse or against violence, against injustice. That is necessary. We are against those things, but that is not enough. We are not only in the business of fighting something. We are in the business of building something. We are in the business of creating safety, of creating communities where children can imagine futures better futures, where survivors can rediscover joy, where families can stabilize and dream again, where the possibility is not a luxury but a norm. That is what you are funding here tonight. That is what you are building. In Austin, Texas, you have entrusted me with the stewardship of this institution. And tonight, I am entrusting you with something in return. Have safes back. Have the backs of those who cannot be here tonight, because love means that we do not look away when something matters. It means that we do not celebrate impact while ignoring fragility. It means that we step into that gap boldly. And I invite you to step with me. And that love requires more than applause. It requires alignment. So tonight, I invite you to try something with me. I invite you to take out your phones. And if you have personally or know someone who has experienced intimate partner violence, sexual violence, or child abuse, please turn on your flashlight and stand, and remain standing. Now, if you have ever supported someone, loved someone, or walked alongside someone who has experienced domestic violence, sexual assault, or child abuse, please turn on your flashlight and join the rest of us. Look around this room. This is not a niche issue. This is our city. When the lights went out in my childhood, we gathered in one room and lit candles. And tonight, this room is that room. We are here to support families in crisis, and we are here to build something strong. Strong enough that safety becomes infrastructure, that prevention becomes expectation. Strong enough that one day, this gala is truly just a celebration and not a stabilization effort. So bring the candles, stay together, and let's build something strong enough that the lights do not flicker again. Thank you, Austin, Texas.